y'all doing? I'm Minizangel. Um, you're on the part of the website where it's called Living in the Matrix. This is basically where we discuss uh, basically the straw man and how to use it, how to properly use it. Um, and what I'm about to say isn't the typical thing that most people talk about with the straw man, like the Treasury Direct account and all these things. No, this is more this is more about correcting your status with the straw man without all of the paperwork, uh, and how you can make things easier on yourself, um, while we're trying to get out of this system. Okay, one of the first things that we're going to talk about is the straw man itself. Okay, in order to talk about the straw man, you have to first start with the birth certificate and the birth certificate system. The birth certificate system initially initially started in 1921 with something called the Shepard-Towner Maternity Act. Um, I'm not going to go real deep into it, but the people didn't like it and it didn't work, so they repealed it. Um, for whatever reason, they wanted to do it, reinstate it, because it was to keep track of births. So they reinstated it piece by piece, where people wouldn't see the whole reinstatement of it because it's been disguised with other things and other bills. And you know how oh, they'll pass a bill and they'll tell you about this one thing on this bill, but they don't tell you about all of the other things that are attached to this bill, all the other laws that they had to negotiate for, and all these things that were attached to this bill. So um, that's where the birth certificate came from. Um, 1933, um, excuse me, this was how they were starting the straw man system. Um, by 1933, they had reenacted it. They were setting it up for years to come, for things to come, because the birth certificate system is how the straw man is created. So back in 1921, they were setting up for what they were trying to do in 1933. So the U.S. citizen is the straw man. The straw man is the U.S. citizen. The straw man is, for now, also the state citizen. Um, the straw man uh, is what's called a transmitting utility. And they did that when they did all the fakery in 1933 with House Joint Resolution 192. Um, it is called a transmitting utility, and it's for the fictional to communicate with the living and vice versa. So um, the fictional U.S. citizen is the only one who can handle the fictional Federal Reserve notes. They have to turn everybody into a fiction, or have to make you think that you are this fiction that they created on this piece of paper. So the one thing, our main thing as far as correcting our status, is separating from this fiction, becoming separate again from this fiction. So And if you're looking at this, you probably already know some of the things that go on because of this fiction. Now, we're not going to talk about paying bills or getting things from the Treasury direct account or anything like that, because I'm probably one of the very few people who have actually directly touched the Treasury direct account, and uh, and I did it without doing all of the crazy stuff that everybody is talking about. But I'll tell you, you have to know commerce. You have to know how to handle yourself before you do that. Because if you don't know how to do it, if you don't know how to actually really handle yourself in commerce, they will run you through. But I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, I got evidence that I did what I did. But one of the main things that we're trying to do in correcting our status is separating ourselves from this fictional entity, from that straw man. So, excuse me. Um, one of the one of the first things that you are going to need is a PO box. This is one of the very first things that you are going to need is a PO box. It doesn't matter the size, the small one, however much you want to get it. But today, 2024, PO boxes uh, run about $100 for 6 months. $100 for 6 months. Every 6 months, you basically renew it. But I mean, if you think about it, 6 months, $100. That's a dollar, a dollar a day. You put up $1 a day. That's $180 in 6 months. So, um, you know, this is one of the very first things that you're going to need is a PO box. And the PO box, uh, the reason for the PO box is the PO box is going to become the straw man's address. The PO box is going to become the straw man's domicile, place of domicile. Um, and when for everything that you have, every piece of mail, every bill, every whatever, everything is going to be directed to that PO box. Now, the reason for doing this is the United States, talking about the United States is the only place where they actually put your home address on your ID. It's the only place in the world that does that. And if there is anybody else that does that, I have yet to see them. The United States is the only place that I know of that puts your address, your home, where you lay your head, where your family stays, puts that on your ID. Um, for me, that's no good because that lets people know where they can find you, where they can come to do harm to you or to your family. So that's that I don't understand that concept. But the Moorish Republic doesn't have addresses on our IDs. Um, Now that is the purpose of the PO box, is to again separate yourself from that straw man, because anything that anyone deals with as it pertains to government entities or banks or anything that requires your social security number, uh, they are looking for the straw man. So Now you give them a direct place to send anything to the Strawman, which is that PO box. Um, that is the first step in actually correcting your status, basically getting off the grid. Um, the Now the post office is going to ask for an address for, I guess, when you don't pay your PO box. When you don't pay for your PO box, when they stop the mail from coming, where do they send the mail to? So you have to give them an address for that as well. I'm just letting you know for those purposes. So it can be anyone's address. It can be anything. Um, um, it could be anywhere. It could be a vacant lot. Be a vacant lot. Um, but they are going to want an address for when you don't pay your PO box or when you uh, where they send your mail. But that is the first step in correcting your status, is separating from the straw man. No matter where you lay your head, that PO box is where everything else goes. That's the address you put on everything, your bank accounts, your uh, everything, everything. Now, if you're in a lease, if you're in a lease, of course your address is going to be on the lease. But the PO box, your address in your lease is a private thing. Where you lay your head is a private thing. So your address for all your mail goes to that PO box. No one knows what the lease address is. So unless your landlord broadcasts to everyone your lease address, or if you have a mortgage, that's it. You can even have the bills to your mortgage sent to the PO box, even though your mortgage is on this house where you lay your head. Everything goes to this PO box. Your ID. If you decide to get state ID, the address to the post office is your street address, and the PO box is your apartment number. That is how you get off the matrix. That's how you. That's how you. That's how you. Get down in the tunnels per se. If you've ever seen the Matrix, this is how you get off the grid. This is how you get down into the tunnels. You get off the grid. You can move around, but at the same time, you prevent government entities from knowing where you lay your head. And this isn't, for one, we're not U.S. citizens anyway. If you look like me, you're not a U.S. citizen. I mean, unless you immigrated here. Um, but yeah, that's the first step in getting off. I'm gonna keep these down to about 15 minutes because that's how long they let us record. But that's the first step in getting off the matrix, is getting a PO box and having everything directed to that PO box. I mean, if you're ordering online, if you're ordering big packages, you can still have it sent to that PO box. The post office will put it in the back for you, and they'll put it up for you. Um, if or I mean, you can have Amazon delivered to your house, however you want to do it. But this is more or less for um, quote unquote government offices. Hello, Moto. So um, I'm gonna come back with the next one. We're gonna talk about taxes in the straw man. Peace and love.